Yo, what's up, guys and girls? I hope you are all blessed and doing very well on this Monday evening, my time. Maybe it's afternoon, your time, whatever time it is, where you are, wherever you are in the world. I hope you are blessed and doing very well. I hope you all had a fantastic weekend. If you are in the chat right now, drop a message and let me know that you can see me okay. Let me know that you can hear me okay, because I've got a whole bunch of stuff I want to talk about on this live stream. I'm going to do my best to stop headbutting the microphone with the brim of my cap, but no promises. It might happen. Firstly, I want to say a massive thank you to everybody who has been tuning in to my YouTube channel and subscribing. Just hit 55,000 followers, 55,000 subscribers even in the past hour or so. My latest podcast with Douglas Murray is about to crack 60,000 views. Just uploaded that one on Friday. It's already the second most popular podcast of the Real Talk with Zuby series. So that is incredible. 60,000 views in what, 3 days? Absolutely incredible. It looks like that one is going to go up into the six figures, and that's incredible. If you have not yet had a chance to check out my podcast with Douglas Murray, please do. It's the previous video uploaded to this channel, so go watch it when you're done with this. Give it a listen. You can also check it out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you listen to your podcasts. Shout out to everybody who's tuning in right now. I can see you guys. Shout out to James, Brittany, 242 Assembly, Mark, Arilyn, Derek, Deanna, Susan, Arilyn, Renee. Is that Renee's or Renes? I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the support, guys. Massive love, massive love. As always on these live streams, well, if it's your first time joining in, if you're a new subscriber, then first of all, welcome. If you're someone familiar with the format, then you guys know that you can drop me a question and I will get to it. If you want me to prioritize your question or your comment, then please drop a super chat. It helps to support the channel, helps to support everything I do, my music, my podcasts, videos, future work, everything I do. No obligation to drop a few super chat, of course, but if you would like to financially support my work, it is always appreciated. And I always get to everybody who drops me a super chat. So today, I want to talk about fear today. I want to talk about fear because 2020 has just been the year of fear. 2020 has been totally dominated by fear. Now, the media narratives are always dominated by fear, but I think that this year has just been off the charts, more than I've ever seen personally in my own lifetime. I have never seen so much fear, so much manipulation, so much foolishness, so much groupthink, so much collective anxiety and hysteria when I don't believe it is. All right, we're gonna talk about the numbers, but I'm not even gonna talk about the. Let's just call this thing the Rona, shall we? Because I know YouTube is a little bit weird with people discussing this topic if they're not just going along with a certain narrative. And I'm not going to say anything that should be super duper controversial on this podcast. I'm not going to tell you that the virus is not real. I'm not going to tell you that nobody has died from it. I'm not going to tell you that it was caused by 5G towers or something like that. No, I'm just gonna spit some facts and I'm going to say some stuff that is logical, but which for some reason, well, I know this reason, and this is fear. People don't really want to be honest about this whole situation. So, firstly, I wanna hit you guys with some numbers. So, about a week or so ago, the CDC, the Center of Disease Control in the USA, CDC. You know, these are the people with the science. These are the people with the science and the data and the facts. These are the epidemiologists, the biologists, the scientists. Everybody keeps saying, listen to the science, listen to the experts, etc. So I wanted to check out the latest figures that the CDC put out there. And I want you to ask yourself, if you're not familiar with these figures, why are we not hearing these figures in the media, right? And we're going to talk about this because everything is driven by fear. And the numbers I'm going to tell you should make you feel good. They should not make you feel fearful. But they will make some people feel angry because some people have bought so much into certain narratives and have bought into so much fear and hysteria over the past 9 months of this year that they don't want to hear any kind of good news. But let me give you guys these numbers. So these numbers are from the CDC website, okay? So these are numbers from the CDC, and these are their estimated mortality rates for people who catch the Rona, right? So for people who actually get the Rona. Okay, different age brackets. These are the survival rates. Okay, keep in mind everything we've been going through over the past 9 months, and the situation now, and the policies, and the laws, and the regulations, and the restrictions. Keep this all in mind. From okay, if you are aged 0 to 19, the chance of your survival if you contract the Rona is 99.997%. 99.997%. Virtually 100%. If you are in the age bracket 20 to 49, 99.98%. If you are in the age bracket of 50 to 69, chances of survival, according to official CDC data, 99.5%. Over 70, we know people over 70 are most at risk. We know that. I've been saying this for a long time. We've known this has been clear since about March or so. Even in the most at-risk category, those who are over the age of 70, 94.6% survival rate. So if you are under the age of 70, the range is from 99.5% to 100% survival rate. This is official information from the CDC. Now, think about the response. Think about the reaction. Think about the lockdowns. Think about the policies. Think of all the craziness that's been happening in the UK, in the USA, all over the world, almost every single country. Some places are still in lockdown. People still can't go to church. People still can't go to the gyms. People are being forced to wear masks all over the place. Some people are even being forced just to wear them if they want to step outside of the house. People are not allowed to go to weddings, not allowed to go to funerals, not allowed to see their friends, families. Over 50 million Americans have lost their jobs. Millions of British people are going to lose their jobs. Lots of people have been dying because they cannot get treated in hospitals because they are prioritizing the Rona. So even if hospitals are empty, people are dying. They've predicted, something came out, I think it was in the Telegraph the other day, saying that they think the lockdown could cause 200,000 deaths in the UK. 200,000 deaths potentially from the lockdown. Not from the Rona, from the lockdown. Now what is that? That's like 7 or 8 times as many of people who have died with the Rona, not necessarily from the Rona, but with the Rona. Now, does this make sense to you? Like, forget about the sunk costs, right? Forget about all the stuff all the media manipulation. Forget about does the response make sense for something with a 99.9 virtually, I guess across age brackets, we could say 99.99% survival rate. Does this madness that we have been going through and the garbage we're having to being put up with, does it make sense to you? Does that make sense? Keep in mind, these are these are figures from the CDC. So for everybody who's like, trust the science, trust the experts, look at the numbers, run the numbers, do the science. I'm looking at the science. This is from one of the most accredited, official, legit sources out there. 99.99% survival rate. 55 million people made unemployed. Thousands of job losses, thousands of people dying, massive increases in suicide rates, massive increases in depression, anxiety, violent crime, murder, robbing. All of this stuff has gone way, way up over the past couple of months, certainly in the US. I don't know what it's like on a global scale. Is it worth it? Does it make sense? Even the policies that are being put in place, do these policies make sense? Right? Does it make sense? The other day I went to a restaurant. Yesterday I went to a restaurant, and there was a rule that when you are standing up in the restaurant, you have to wear a mask. So when you're standing up, you have to wear a mask. When you sit down at the table, you don't need to wear a mask. So there's a restaurant full of people, everyone's sitting down, chatting, eating. Nobody is wearing masks. But if you stand up and you go to the bathroom, you have to wear a mask to go to the bathroom. Does that make sense? They've just implemented this policy. So what? You catch the virus standing up, but you don't catch it sitting down. Makes no sense. It's garbage. It's BS. Let's be honest. Makes no sense. They've changed the restrictions. So now you can have 6 people for a social gathering, and I think it's up to 30 people or something for a work gathering. So the Rona knows whether you are meeting for work or it knows if it's a social setting. it can count. It can keep time. Pubs have to close at 10 p.m. What happens? Is this a gremlin, right? At 10 p.m., the Rona arrives to the pub at 10 p.m. and starts infecting people. It doesn't make sense, right? So much of it does not make sense. Lockdown protests, you're not allowed to do lockdown protests, but if you're protesting on behalf of BLM or your Antifa or whatever, you can protest. Thousands, by the thousands, it doesn't matter. But if you're protesting the wrong thing, that is not allowed. And no one wants to just say the obvious and say this is garbage. But so I'm going to say it. Right? I'll take that step and I will say this is nonsense. This is nonsense. And look, before anyone tries to say I'm trying to kill their grandma, I don't care about people, whatever. I have said since March, what makes sense to do is to look after the people who are the most vulnerable, the elderly people. This disease is hardly impacting young people. 99.997% survival rate for people under the age of 20. 0 people today in the entire country, I believe under the age of 50, have died from this thing. So why are they continuing with more and more restrictions, more and more lockdowns, more and more restrictions, regulations, infringements on people's civil liberties and freedom? What's going on here? You people really think that this is all about a virus? As far as I'm concerned, the people who think that and believe that make just as much sense to me as the people who think that this thing is caused by 5G towers. It's nonsense. It's very clear that there is a whole other situation that's going on here, that the media, I think the media is a lot to blame, right? I think the media has created so much hype and so much hysteria and gotten people in a panicked and fearful state for so long that the government is now pressured and being forced to do things, even if it's totally arbitrary. It doesn't even need to make sense. You're standing up, you have to wear a mask, but sitting down, you don't have to. You can go to this place, but you can't go to that place. You can meet with 30 people here, but you can only meet with 6 people there. It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. And it's so jarring having people like, listen to the science, listen to the science. I'm like, look, firstly, Firstly, I have a degree in science, right? Like I understand science, right? Biology was my best subject at school. And this is nonsense. It is nonsense. It doesn't make sense. The policies are not even making sense. Even if I disagreed with the policies, but they at least made sense, then I could at least be like, okay, this is consistent. This makes sense. I might think it's overblown. I might think they're trying to do too much. I may think that they are infringing on people's liberties too much, but I could at least be like, okay, at least they're being consistent. Right? There was this thing that came out today saying that the parliament pubs are allowed to stay open after 10 p.m. Yeah, have you noticed? It's not the same rules for everybody. It's never the same rules for everybody, right? You want to go protest BLM? That's all well and good. That's not going to infect anybody. In fact, the medical community will support you. But if you want to protest the lockdown, if you think the lockdowns are too much, if you think the forced mask mandates are too much, then nope, the police are going to shut you down. The game is rigged, right? The parliament pubs, parliament gym, the gyms in the USA for the politicians and whatever, those stay open. That's all good. But you plebs, you commoners, nah. In some of those states, you can't go to the gym. Still, they've had the gyms shut for 8 months for public health reasons. Imagine shutting the gyms for public health reasons in a country where, 40% of the population is obese, given that obesity is one of the biggest risk factors next to age if you do happen to contract the Rona. Does this make sense to you? It's nonsensical. It's BS. And nobody wants to say it because nobody else is saying it, right? We're all playing this big game of emperor's new clothes, running around with masks on, freaking out at each other. It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. And this whole one-size-fits-all model that, 20-year-olds are pretending 20-year-olds are just as at much risk as people who are 80, it's nonsense. Like I've said many times, people who are elderly, people who have underlying health conditions, people who are genuinely at major risk of this thing, that's where any concern, time, investment, etc., resources, that's where it needs to go to. Those are the people who need to take extra precaution. And look, anyone who's terrified, people can stay in their houses for forever, for as much as I care. Like, I don't really care, but forcing businesses to shut down, forcing people out of work, not allowing people to feed their families, feed themselves, take care of themselves, attend funerals. Good grief. Go to church. Like, what is going on? Honestly, like it actually frustrates me how people have just totally succumbed to fear. And it's all just fear, and it's all just hysteria. And look, like if this thing was taking people out left, right, and center, and it was just killing people everywhere, killing men, women, children, just nonstop, right? Then sure, some of these policies might make sense. In fact, maybe they'd even need to go further. But we have well established for months now that this thing is not. Remember when the Rona first started, they were saying this could have a 4%, 5% kill rate. That would be terrible. That would be terrible. 5%. Imagine that. 1 in 20. That would be horrible. There's a big difference between 5% and 0.001%. You can't treat those things the same way. In fact, I have some data on daily deaths in the UK from different sources. Let me just find this. So in the UK, so this is the average daily deaths. This is from the Times newspaper, September 22. Right? You guys like numbers. This is data. So these are daily deaths in the UK. Cancer, 450. Dementia and Alzheimer's, 214. Coronary heart disease, 180. Stroke, 99. Flu and pneumonia. Flu, 29. COVID-19, I said the word, the Rona, 17. 17. So flu and pneumonia, 29. The Rona, 17. So all of this attention, all of this freak out, all of this everything, all of these resources, everything, all of this hype is for something which at this moment in time is taking out 17 people a day currently in the UK are dying from this. And look, every death, every life matters. I care. I'm the most very, very pro-life person, right? 17 deaths is bad, but in the grand scheme of things, cancer, 450, dementia, 214, coronary heart disease, very much linked to obesity, 180, stroke, also often linked to obesity and people just not being healthy, 99, just the flu, 29. So all of this hype, all of this attention, all of this media coverage, all of this political nonsense is for something that's not even in the top, what's that? Not even in the top 5. Not even in the top 5 killers, not even in the top 5 of things we should probably be worried about. And if you're going to talk about it being contagious, like the flu is also contagious. The flu's taking out 29 people a day. 29 people a day. And every single year, the flu takes out thousands of people. And we don't respond to the flu like this. We never have. We never have. Now, look, I understand people being concerned about things, right? And it made sense at the beginning. Look, we didn't know what was going on. Let's lock down. Let's buckle down. We don't know what's going on. This is something brand new. I understand that. But now that we have this information, 99.99% survival rate, and people are still freaking out. People are still panicking. People are still wanting more strict restrictions, more lockdowns, more panic, more yelling at people for not wearing masks. I saw a woman in the States, a video of her being tasered because she didn't comply. I've seen videos of people almost getting in fights with police officers over this. It's absurd. And no one wants to say this. I feel like everybody knows it, but no one wants to say it. Everybody knows it doesn't make sense. Everybody knows a lot of this stuff is not making sense, but they just want to go with it because people don't want to rock the boat. People don't want to rock the boat. This is what I'm talking about. Fear is the most powerful human emotion. And one of the biggest fears is not wanting, is having people sort of disagree with you publicly or feeling like you are doing something that's very different to the norm, right? If you go into a shop and there's 100 people in there and nobody is wearing a mask, you feel no obligation to wear a mask. No, why should I? There's 100 other people, no one else is wearing one. I'm not going to wear one, right? But if you go in there and 100 people are wearing a mask and you're not, suddenly you feel that pressure, right? You feel that fear. Man, fear of judgment, fear of ostracization, fear of not fitting in, feeling of being the odd one out, or feeling like you're doing something wrong because you are not complying and going along with the flow, right? Some people are going to be angry at me for making this video. How dare you not be scared? People have been mad at me for not being scared this entire year. Why should I be scared? I just gave you the numbers. Why should I be scared of that? Like, it makes more sense for me to be scared every time I get in my car, right? Every time every time I travel, every time I'm crossing the road, like that's probably more dangerous. You know, And yeah, this is what the media does. I really the media. I'm very angry with them this year because they've just created so much hype and so much exaggeration and misinformation, and this has led to certain policies. It's forced politicians to do nonsensical stuff to restrict people's freedoms, stop everybody from moving, stop people from living, stop people from traveling, cancel your weddings, don't attend your grandma's funeral, cancel your job. You're not allowed to run your business. It's absurd. It's absurd. I'm not going to stop repeating 99.99% survival rate. More than that for under 20s, right? It doesn't make sense, guys. It does not make sense. So this is not just about the Rona. This is about a lot of other things. In the USA, it's definitely about the election, but in other countries, I think they're just seeing what. Honestly, I think that there's. I don't even know what the end goal is, so I'm not going to speculate too much. But we all know that governments like power, politicians like power. They like being able to control people, and they like creating fear because that's how you can control people. So later on in this video, I want to talk about the concept of fear a little bit more, and I want to talk about how you can actually use fear to your own benefit because most people don't know how to harness fear to their advantage. That's something that I've learned over the years, and I think it's something that can stand you in good stead and turn you into a little bit of a superhero once you learn how to do that. But what I want to do is I want to open it up to the comment section. Like I said, if anyone wants to drop a super chat, then I will prioritize you. But I'm just going to have a little look. If you've got any questions, feel free to drop them in now, and I will try to get to you. Okay, let's see. Got any questions? Yeah, see, this is a great point here. So this is Lisa, clearly from the US. I imagine wrote, in most states, 40 to 50% of deaths were in nursing homes. That's correct. In many places, in many cities and countries, the average age of death was higher than the average life expectancy. Think about that. So the average age of death of people dying with the Rona was over the average life expectancy. And like I've said many times, we don't want people to die of anything. Nobody wants anyone to die of anything, right? There's nobody out there who's like, yeah, we want people to die. Of course not. None of us want that. We've all got loved ones. We have elderly relatives. We might have older parents, grandparents, etc. You don't want anybody to die of anything. At the same time, though, we cannot pretend that a 90-year-old dying of a disease or a virus like this is the same thing as a 12-year-old dying from it. It's not the same. We know that it's not the same thing. Both are tragic, both are unfortunate, but we know that like I said, if this disease was just ravaging through children, it was running through schools, it was killing young people, let's lock stuff down. That would okay, let's lock stuff down, right? But we know, we have the data. And I think this is a huge blessing. This is a huge silver lining that almost nobody is talking about, is the fact that this thing barely affects children. Almost virtually zero children are dying from this thing, which is wonderful. Like, no, we don't want anyone dying of anything. We said this, but we live in the real world, guys. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people die every day of all sorts of reasons, all sorts of diseases, all sorts of things. Some are preventable. Some of them are just not. And this is the sad thing about disease, is that diseases kill people. It's what happens. It's what they do. There's no politician, there's no party, there's no country, there's no policy that's just going to be able to stop this thing dead in its tracks. It's just not how it works. That hasn't even happened with flu. We've had flu around for decades, centuries, I don't know. And thousands of people a year still die of the flu. And we have a vaccine for that, but it's not 100% effective. Not everybody uses it. And look, it's unfortunate that people die of the flu. People die from the cold. And it's sad. Like people die of all sorts of things every day, but the media doesn't hype it up to the degree that it makes it seem like I said, right, in the UK, we've now got 17 people a day dying with the Rona, 450 dying of cancer. I understand that cancer is not contagious, but you would not, based on the media attention, based on the hype, based on the hysteria, you would not think that, what's that, like 30 times, roughly, like 30 times as many people are dying of cancer on a daily basis than the Rona. Just as many people are dying in household accidents. More people are dying of the flu and pneumonia. You wouldn't know that unless you looked up the data, because that's not how the media is talking. They're just keeping that running death count going. They want to freak you out. They want you to stay home. They want you to keep washing your hands every 2 seconds, wear your mask even when you're driving in your car by yourself. It is garbage. It's nonsense. They want to rule you with fear. They want to run this thing for as long as they can. And it's good to scare people into their wits, but the problem is that they have scared people out of their wits. So people aren't even thinking anymore. People are not even thinking, okay, does this make sense? What are the numbers? What are the risk factors, etc. Right? This one size blanket stuff, it's so tiring. It's so tiring. It is so tiring. But yeah, like I can see this. A lot of what people are saying here does seem to agree with me. Someone wrote, "Hey Zuby, what do you think is next if this madness continues?" It depends. Look, it depends on what people do. If people just want to go on with this forever, I think some of these restrictions and regulations and policies are not going to be rolled back. If you guys remember, I don't know, depending on your age, do you guys remember when 9/11 happened? Right? You remember when you were able to go through the airport security and you could actually carry a bottle of water and you didn't need to take your shoes off and take off your belt and do like all of this, have the Ziploc bag and all of this stuff that you have to do. That all started after 9/11. And I believe that those were supposed to be temporary measures, but they never rolled them back. They never rolled them back now. And then after a while, people just get used to things, right? So I don't know why I can't just bring a bottle of water onto the plane with me. I don't know what I'm going to do with a bottle of water, but we don't question it. We just comply. We just go with it. We want to fly. So, if people are just willing to go with it forever, then who knows, right? The masks go on forever. Some people have spoken openly about having mandatory vaccines. I don't know why you need a vaccine for something with a 99.99% plus survival rate. I don't want to take one, like especially one that's been rushed to the public like this. Vaccines normally take 4 or 5 plus years at a minimum to get approved and to be tested and everything. So I don't know. Like, do you want to be the first person to take this thing? But people are talking about mandatory vaccinations. Some people have talked about having travel passports, so you can't travel, or you can't participate in certain activities, or children can't go to school if they don't have a certificate showing that they've taken a certain vaccine. And this is where people are like, oh my gosh, conspiracy theory. This is not conspiracy theory. People are talking openly about this stuff, right? This is the thing. People watch the mainstream media forever, and then when they hear what's actually true, they dismiss it as a conspiracy theory. If I tell them 99.99% success rate, they freak out, right? They say I'm lying, or I'm like, this is from the CDC. Listen to the science. Listen to the numbers. You've been telling everyone for all these months. People have been telling everybody all these months. Man, I don't know. It's very, very tiring. But anyway, I want to talk about but this is what the media does. Like, I don't have a TV. I haven't had a TV for 12 years. I barely watch the news. I barely read the news. I just see what's happening based on what people are saying. And then if I see something interesting, I can look into it. But the media is just designed to scare people. The media is designed to keep you scared. Fear is the most powerful human emotion, right? I'm somebody who sells things. And let me tell you guys a sales secret. Fear is the most powerful way to sell. It's not something I personally like doing a lot, but if you can invoke fear in people, it is a lot more powerful than invoking any sort of positive emotion in them. People are actually more likely to buy based on fear. People respond to fear. If you can make people feel insecure, if you can make them feel panicky, if you can make them feel that if they don't get this product or get this service, that something bad is going to happen to them, that motivates them more than telling them the benefits. And the media knows this. The media have clever people working in there. They've known this for centuries. They know what is propaganda. Propaganda, they instill fear in you. Fear of the enemy, fear of this group of people, fear of that person, fear of this person, right? So whether they're trying to tell you that Donald Trump is going to create a far-right fascistic takeover and bring in the Fourth Reich and run concentration camps and throw kids in cages and overthrow democracy and all this, right? Then you get the liberals panicking, freaking out. Oh my gosh, it's life and death. This next election, it's life and death. We have to defeat Trump, right? This is what the media sells, and you can tell when people are bought into this. On the other side, oh my gosh, if Biden wins, or when Bernie Sanders or whatever was running, if the liberals win, if the Democrats win, then the America is going to become a communist dictatorship. and the far left radicals are going to be running everything, and you're going to lose all of your rights, and they're going to clamp down on free speech, and they're going to have bread lines, and it's whoever it is, whatever it is, people do propaganda against groups of people, whether they want you to fear the police, or they want you to fear white people, or they want you to fear black people, or they want you to fear Arabs, or they want you to fear the Muslims, or fear the Christians, or whatever it is propaganda. It's all propaganda. That's what the media does, right? Yes, they report the news, but they also want to make sure that you stay scared. I learned this when I was like a child. I knew this from a teenager. Like, why is it so negative all the time? Why can't we have some positive news? Why is it always fear, fear, fear? It's because that people are addicted to it. People get addicted to fear, and then they run around and they spread the fear, and they go online and they spread the fear, and everyone's now just scared. People are running around with their masks on. People are driving alone in their cars with a mask on because they don't want to get this horrible killer virus that they heard about on the news, right? That's like, it's crazy. And it happens all the time. It happens all the time. If you guys remember beginning of this year, what was beginning of this year? It was all impeachment in the USA. And then it was World War III was coming. World War III was coming. Do you guys remember that? Do you guys remember World War III? That was coming. Impeachment and World War III were the trending topics back in January. Before people were talking about the Rona, it was World War III. You guys remember that? The USA took out Soleimani, the Iranian, what is he, the sort of head of their military or whatever, and people were like, oh my gosh, that's it. Trump has started a nuclear war. Like, we're going to be in a nuclear war, and then it moved on, right? What about climate change? Last year, Extinction Rebellion, you got 12 years to save the planet, guys, 12 years. Are people even talking about that now? No, why? Because the media has shifted the narrative. They don't want you to be scared of climate change now. They want you to be scared of the Rona. And that's what they do. The media just wait. They just pick what they want you to be afraid of. What do we want the populace to be scared of? What about Brexit? What happened to Brexit? Brexit happened. Remember if you're in the UK, people were terrified. Oh my gosh, this is it. It's over. It's over. The economy's going to crash. We're all going to lose our jobs. House prices are going to fall down. Boris Johnson's going to be they were comparing Boris Johnson to Hitler. All right, so Boris Johnson's a fascist bringing in some far-right government. This is the most left-wing conservative government I've seen in my life. I don't see anything conservative about this government. And I voted for Boris. I don't see anything conservative going on. There's nothing conservative about this government. But this is what it is. It's just hype. It's just fear, hype, and fear. Do not watch the news. Yes, Lily, do not watch the news. It's not good for you. If you want to look after your mental health, do not watch the news. Or if you're going to, just do it a little bit. Just a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. It's all very, very weird. It's all very, very weird. But let me tell you guys a little bit about fear. Actually, you know what? Let me have a quick look and see. Shout out to everybody who's just tuning in, by the way. I hope you're enjoying the live stream. Let's see. Yeah, Thomas. Do you remember when the UK authorities said no sunbathing? I thought that was so ridiculous. We know sun and fresh air is good for you. Of course. Sun, the most likely place the place where the Rona is spreading the most is inside people's houses. Right? It's inside people's houses, indoors. If you're going outside, if you're going to the beach, if you're sunbathing, that's like the safest thing you can do. That's like the safest thing you can do. This is what I'm saying. It doesn't. The policies, the guidelines, etc., they're not making sense. No one wants to talk about the fact you have an immune system. Why haven't they given advice on how you can eat better, how you can train better, why you should exercise, what supplements perhaps you should take, vitamin D, maybe vitamin C? Look after your immune system. What are the risks of being at an unhealthy body weight, right? That puts you at a greater risk category. So take care of your health, maintain a healthy body weight. Maybe a good time during this lockdown, etc., to lose some weight, get some exercise going. Why are they not highlighting this? I thought this was about public health. That's what people keep telling me. I don't buy it, but that's what people keep telling me. I don't know, man. I'm a fitness advocate. I've been advocating fitness and trying to promote public health for a very long time. Well before 2020. I wrote a whole book on it. Yeah. So I don't know, man. I don't know. But let me tell you guys about fear, because fear, like I said, fear is a very powerful emotion, but you can actually harness your own fear. You can harness your own fear. And a good way, this is kind of talking about a different type of fear in a way, but this is something I've learned over my years of being an entrepreneur, being an independent musician, being someone who sort of just created my own path and built my own thing, is that fear can be a very good indicator of what you should do. Quick shout out to Renes BBWI's just sent a £5 super chat. Much appreciated. Thank you very much. So if there's something that you want to do, right? If there's something that you want to do, this could be something minor. This could be talking to that guy or that girl who you think is attractive and making a move. This could be starting a project. This could be writing a book, writing a song, starting a business, whatever it is. You can actually use fear to your advantage by allowing it to show you what you should do, right? Because there's two different types of fear. There's a fear which is a genuine sort of fear of like, oh my gosh, I just saw a lion or a bear in the wild, or oh my gosh, someone just came in the room waving a gun. Like fear for your life, fear for survival, fear of heights, right? There's a natural fear of like, oh my gosh, my life is genuinely in danger. And that's the type of fear that okay, this is something I should avoid, right? This is probably something I should not do, right? If it's creating that type of fear where logically and rationally you're like, oh my gosh, I'm putting my life at risk, that is the type of fear that you want to avoid, right? That's the type of fear that is pushing you away, telling your body, telling your mind that you should not do this thing. But fear can also manifest in ways that are far less rational, right? So you want to start a podcast. You want to start a YouTube channel. You want to start a business. You want to make a book. You want to ask that cute girl out. And you're getting that same feeling as if a lion or a bear or a tiger, oh my, is going to attack you. But that doesn't make sense, right? You're not going to die from any of those things. Your life's not at risk. You're not going to risk your health. And then, so when you feel that type of fear, you can harness that and you can transmute that energy into motivation, right? Use that to motivate you. Use that to guide you because it's telling you to go outside of your comfort zone. It's showing you the boundaries of your comfort zone. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm a little bit uncomfortable with that, but it's not something that's going to kill me. It's something I want to do. It's telling you to go for it, right? That nervous energy, what feels like fear, what feels like anxiety, it's telling you to go for it, right? So I'll be honest, right? This is how many live streams? This is my 12th live stream or something like that. Before I started doing these live streams on Monday nights, I was a little bit fearful of it. I thought, man, can I just talk for like 40 minutes, 60 minutes on a topic that I haven't planned? If people ask me questions in the chat, am I going to be able to respond? Do I even know how to use the software? Like I didn't know how to do this. What mic do I use? What camera do I use, etc. I felt a little bit fearful because I was like, man, okay, I know how to perform on a stage. I know how to do public speaking. I know how to record a non-live video, and I'm comfortable with that. But what about going live? What if I mess up? What if I don't know what to say? What if nobody tunes in? What if people think that I'm like talking about stupid stuff and they don't like it, or they make fun of me in the chat or whatever? I was feeling all this like nervousness and fear. And you know what? That's the indication I should do it. It's the indication that Zuby, do it, right? That's why you should do it, because it's outside your comfort zone. It's outside your comfort zone. And if you want to expand your comfort zone and you want to become a more powerful and successful individual, you want to achieve greatness, you have to constantly be pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. Maybe you want to take up a new hobby. Maybe you want to get into going to the gym. Maybe you want to get into going to the gym, but you're scared. And you're like, man, I'm not strong. Like, I'll go in the gym. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't know what exercises to do. I don't know what the machines do. There's all these big, scary, buff guys in the gym. It scares people. It scares people. But you know what? You're not going to die. Yeah, going to the gym, it's not like you walk in the gym as a newbie and people just like, hey, it's a newbie. Let's go beat him up. Let's get him. Let's get him. No, that's not how the gym works. Right? That's not how the gym works. And so if you're feeling that fear, that's your body telling you, that's your mind and your gut telling you, you should lean towards that thing. You should do that thing. You should do that thing. Take yourself outside your comfort zone, because there is an opportunity for self-development, right? There's something that you've been wanting to do, maybe somewhere you want to travel to. Maybe you just want to travel, but they're feeling that fear, like, man, I don't know what's it going to be like, etc. That's the gut. That's the mind telling you, you need to do it. You must do this. By doing this thing, you will be expanding your experience, expanding your skill set, and you will be creating something better for your life, and you will become stronger and greater as an individual by doing that. So I don't want to beat that point to death. By the way, I'm going to be live for about another 10 minutes or so. So if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat right now, because once I finish this little speech, I'm going to be going and I'm going to look through the questions and I will be answering and responding to anything interesting. So here's your opportunity to ask me a question. Feel free to drop a super chat if you want to, but of course, no obligation. So yeah, that's how you can harness fear and turn it into something that, from something that potentially cripples you and stops you from doing the things that you want to do, to making it something that drives you and motivates you. And once you practice that habit, once you learn that and you learn how to recognize that weird feeling in your gut of like, oh gosh, like, should I do this or should I not do this? But you know that you're not putting your life at risk, or you're not putting your health at massive risk or something like that, then that is the sign you should do that thing. That's how you develop. You want to learn a new language, you're going to feel nervous, you're going to feel fearful. Do it. You want to travel somewhere new, you want to ask that girl out, you want to ask that guy out, you want to start that new business venture, that new creative venture, you're going to feel that fear. You're going to feel, I don't know if I should do this, right? That kind of feeling like you're going to step on stage, do some public speaking. Do it. Do it. That's how you become great. That's how you become great, right? Reason I'm able to do a lot of things now, like music, podcast, books, social media, coaching, all the things I do, I was nervous about doing all of those things. Every single one of them, each step, I was nervous. I was like, man, I felt fear. I felt that in my gut. Like, man, what am I doing writing a book? What am I doing writing a book? Now, like, thousands of people have now bought my book. Thousands of people. If I never got over that fear, this would not exist. This would not be real. Thousands of people would not have this if I never got over that fear and just thought, you know what? I want to write a book. This book is going to help people. I'm going to do it. I want to start a podcast. I'm going to do it. I want to start live streaming. I'm going to do it. I want to create merchandise. Do it. Oh, but what if people make fun of me for having my name on it? Who cares? Just do it. Not everything is going to work, but a lot of stuff will work. Trust me on that. A lot of stuff will work. And if it doesn't matter. You developed yourself. You developed your skills anyway. So that is how, my friends, you can use fear to your advantage. Okay, so I am going to go through before we go out, I'm going to go through some of the comments. If there's anything super duper interesting, then I will respond to it. So here's your chance to drop me any questions. I'm just going to have a little sip of this pink lemonade. And by the way, massive thanks to everyone who's pre-ordered my book. I've got like hundreds of these things like lying around right now. I'm signing them. Getting all the envelopes. Like I've got, you can't see it here. I've just got stacks of like books. I've got books. I've got books to the side of me, signed, unsigned. I've got like all these labels and mailing packages and stuff all over because these books are shipping everywhere. If you do want to get a copy of my book, by the way, I've got less than 100 copies that are still available in terms of the paperback. You can go to teamzuby.com. teamzuby.com. If you want to get any merchandise or you want to get my book, you can now get the remaining paperbacks are available there. So that is a heads up. Awesome. So let's see what we got here in terms of the okay, so this is a question. So this is a comment. They put Bolton in lockdown because of a spike. The number doubled from 1 to 2 hospital cases recorded. Julia Hartley questioned Matt Hancock on the matter, and he wouldn't give an answer. So the lockdown, so the spike was they went from 1 hospitalization to 2. If that's true, that's insane. If that's true, that's insane. And this is what I'm talking about. This is not, it's good to react to things, but overreaction can be just as dangerous. Overreaction is often more dangerous than underreaction, in fact. It depends on the situation, but yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. Just seeing what we got here in terms of the see what we got in terms of the comments, seeing if there's anything worth highlighting right here. Yeah, another great point from Thomas. Another thing is that all the sanitation is likely to make us more vulnerable to future viruses. Another thing I've been saying. Many people are said to have survived the flu of 69 because they were exposed to the flu of 58. That's right. So all the obsessive hand washing, obsessive disinfectant usage, social distancing, mask wearing, etc. Like, this is going to harm people's immune systems, man. It's going to harm people's immune systems for the long term. What about children, right? Like children need strong immune systems. The immune system is anti-fragile. It's not fragile. It's something that it requires exposure to germs and pathogens to get better, right? It doesn't mean you want to go and purposely infect yourself with anything, but if you wrap yourself in a bubble and you don't expose yourself to anything, then when you do, especially with winter coming up, you're going to get very, very sick. And that's another thing that we need to be thinking about. Question from Deanna. What do you think about Joe Rogan and the current cancel culture situation with Spotify? I think that's so. For those who don't know, Joe Rogan signed this huge, I think, $100 million deal with Spotify, and his podcast moved over there just a couple weeks ago. And now there are Spotify staff who are threatening to strike or leave Spotify if they don't get censorship control over and editorial control over Joe Rogan's podcast. I think it's absurd. I think that Spotify should just fire all of those people. That's what I think. That's what I would do. If I were the boss at Spotify, I would just fire those people, right? I'd be like, look, y'all aren't setting the rules here. There's millions of people looking for jobs right now. If you guys want to strike over an editorial decision that's made by the higher ups, and because you don't like Joe Rogan, then you can bounce. That would be my simple policy. I'm pretty straight up with these things. Let's see what we got here. Point Dexter. When it comes to your family or friends, but mostly your family, what are some little steps you could take to escape the fear that come with their expectations? I think pointing out some of those numbers again. Let me give you guys those numbers one more time. You can find this on the CDC website. You can maybe I'll put a link to it. But the numbers you do have to do some math conversions. So tell them these numbers. Okay, these are the survival rates of people who contract the Rona, right? Not just like overall, not just like total population, but people who actually get the virus. If you are between ages 0 and 19, 99.997%. Between the ages of 20 and 49, my age group, 99.98%. 50 to 69, 99.5%. Over 70s, most at-risk group, 94.6%. So give them the facts, give them data, and then just maybe ask questions about how the policies make sense, right? Ask how the policies make sense. Ask why are we doing the mask mandate? Why did the mask mandate come months after the peak, right? Why are they clamping down as the numbers go down? Right? People are talking about, oh my gosh, a spike in cases. Look, this is another ridiculous thing. People are talking about spikes in cases. The more people you test, the more cases you have. Obviously, right? If you don't want any cases, don't test anybody. It's nonsensical. It's not logical. People, again, for everyone who's talking about science, like people are not engaging their brains. People are really not engaging their brains with this. So that would be my thought. But have compassion, be kind, have compassion. Like I said, the media's done a good job of getting people scared. They've done a good job of getting people scared. And the more people pay attention to the media, the more scared they probably are. Whereas those of us who distance ourselves from it a little bit and are naturally more skeptical, we're going to be less scared. But, be kind, be compassionate. If people, like I said, look, if people are super duper worried, or look, some people have a good reason to be worried, right? If you're 75 years old and perhaps you have some underlying health conditions, it makes more sense to be concerned. If you're 30 and you're healthy and you're in good shape, what are you worried about? You may as well worry about the flu every season. You may as well worry about everything. It just doesn't make sense. Thank you, Nigel. Love your positivity. Thanks, man. I try to be positive. I try to keep it real, but also be as positive as I can. From Brett, good word, Zuby. Much appreciated. Fear can be paralyzing if you let it take a hold of you. Personally, would you say that taking a step of faith would be the way to overcome fear? Yes, I do. I think if you're talking generally, yeah, absolutely, man. Believe in yourself and take a step towards what it is you want to do. Absolutely. Thank you so much for the comments, guys. I'm seeing a lot of positive comments here. This is something from Amar Garcia. Does your faith help you overcome the fear? And if so, how? Yeah, I do think so. Number one, I believe in God more than I believe in the government. I have faith in God. The government is not my God. I don't take the government advice or policies as like some kind of gospel truth, right? I understand the manipulation. I understand the lies. I understand the pressures. I understand the politicization of things. And yeah, I think that I don't know exactly how my faith helps me overcome it, but like, look, one of the most common phrases in the Bible is "do not fear." I think that's like the most common phrase in the Bible. Do not fear. It says it all the time. Do not fear. Do not be afraid. Do not fear. Do not be afraid. And yeah, maybe that's sort of like in me somehow. But yeah, I think a big part of it is just that in my general worldview, the top of it is not like a human or the government, certainly not the government, right? Like I don't engage in any sort of governmental worship. It's like, nah, like I fear God. Like I fear God. I don't fear a virus with a 99.997% survival rate. It doesn't make sense for me. So that's probably not a sufficient answer, but I think there's something in there. I think there's something in there. Um, Thank you very much for the super chat, Sarah. Sarah sends £5. Just wrote, "Love you, Zuby. What do you do to chill?" I probably seem like I don't chill much, do I? I love what I do. I really love what I do. So, I make music. I really enjoy doing my podcast and having conversations. I talk to my friends. I talk to my family. I go to the gym. I hang out with my girlfriend. I don't play a lot of video games, and I don't own a TV. I could do those things. I read quite a lot. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to audiobooks. I read normal books. But I generally stay busy. But because I enjoy what I do, it doesn't sort of feel like I'm constantly working. And if I want to just take some time out, then I can just take some time out. And I'm self-employed, so that's lovely and that's nice. And when I'm allowed to, I love traveling as well. So that's a few things. Comment from Brittany. It doesn't seem like we can really control this virus. So why are we so obsessed with control? It's a great question. It's what if human beings have a natural desire for control, right? And I've said many times that humans, like people pretend, especially in the West, people pretend that they value freedom and liberty more than they value safety and security, but it's not true. It's not true. If people doubted that before 2020, hopefully 2020 has made that absolutely obvious that people value perceived safety and security. Notice I say perceived safety and security over freedom, right? That's just the human hierarchy of needs. And when it comes to governments, like governments love control, man. Governments love control. Politicians, prime ministers, presidents, congress people, parliament people, like they love control. The media loves control. It is, there's something in the human beings, especially once people have a little bit of power and the ability to control others, people obsess over control. Whether this is the person yelling at you, yelling at people in the store because they're not wearing a mask, or it's people yelling at someone because they don't believe the exact same thing they do, or they're not behaving the exact same way they do, etc. Human beings have a weird relationship with control, and it's actually quite unnatural to sort of go against the herd. Like people move on groupthink. Where I always say human beings are herd animals that like to pretend we're individuals. All right. So we are all individuals, but the majority of people are always going to just go along with whatever the majority opinion is on anything and on everything, because it's hard to go against the grain, right? If you're in a room with 100 people saying that the earth is flat, it's hard to be that guy saying that it's round. Doesn't matter, even if you're the one who's right, right? Like I gave that example, right? If humans want to socially conform. It's just it's a natural innate part of us, and there's always that desire to control as well. So yeah, it's a tricky one. What's Chris saying here? My 90-year-old dad's attitude is that he survived every crisis since and including World War II. He's not going to start living in fear now. Yes, yes, I like your dad. I like your dad. Tell your dad that Zuby thinks he's a legend. I love that. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's dope. I like that. I like that. And it would also be really interesting to speak to people who are like, say, in their 80s and 90s and see how they feel about the restrictions being put on children and young people. I think that would be really a really interesting perspective, because my gut feeling tells me, people are running around saying that, oh, this is to protect, it's to protect these people. I have a strong inkling that a good percentage of that generation would think that the shutting down of schools and all of the major restrictions that are being put on young people and schools, children, and university students, and what, I don't think they'd support it. I really don't think they'd support it. I'm not convinced that they would even think they would think it's for anyone's good. People who are older tend to be pretty selfless. Like they've kind of, I don't know. I feel like if I were 90 years old, I'd be like, look, man, like don't worry about me. Like I'll if I need to stay at home and do Zoom calls, I'll stay at home and do Zoom calls. But like, my grandchildren, my like go do your thing, man. Like don't let this thing stop you because it's not going to kill you with its 99.997% survival rate for under 20s. It doesn't make sense. So, but anyway, yeah, Chris, your dad is a legend. So that's dope. Um, yeah, yeah. It's great comment from Nina. Most old people aren't the problem. It's the young Karens that are scared to live. It's true. It's true. Like when I'm seeing old people about, like, there's quite a lot of old people around where I live, and I'm not seeing them panicking. I'm really not. I'm really not. Like, even if I go to the supermarket, oftentimes the people not wearing the masks are people who are definitely in their 70s, 80s plus. And they're just, maybe they're just social distancing. And, like with people who are older, like what I generally do is if someone looks like they're really worried about this thing, like I'll just give them a wide berth. Or if I see someone who's very elderly, like I'm pretty certain I don't have this virus, but I'll just give people some extra space, give people a wide berth, just give them a little nod, a little smile, let them know, okay, like I'm looking out for you. Like maybe we don't even need to worry, but that's all. But like I said, young people, people my age, whatever, just stop, man. Just stop. Like people need to stop playing this silly game. People really need to stop playing the silly game and just running around in fear all the time. It's not good. It's not good. Um, yeah. Sorry to hear about your grandma, Brittany. Um, did her death have anything to do with COVID, or was that, oh, I said the word, the Rona, or was that something else? But either way, I'm sorry. R.I.P. to her. It look at it, and I didn't. Needless to say, man, it's sad. Look, people have died from this. People have died with it. I don't know what that. There's a discrepancy there between there's a difference between dying with it and dying from it. But people have certainly died from it. And like I said, with anything, every death is sad, man. Every single death is sad. So with everything and anything I've said here, just a disclaimer. I don't want it to seem like I don't care. Like I know of people who have died from it. I know of people who have lost a parent or lost a grandparent or something because of this thing. Um, and that's sad. And that's sad. It's very sad. At the same time, you know, governments and policies cannot. Everything has people. Things have repercussions, right? So this lockdown has repercussions. It's not like, okay, we have a choice of saving lives or just saving the economy or whatever, right? It's like no, it's like whatever you do, this is going to affect lives, and and people are going to die, like both ways, right? The lockdown could well kill more people. As I said earlier, the lockdown could actually kill more people than the virus itself. That's actually quite likely, especially if you look on a long term basis, maybe like over the next 3 to 5 years or something like that. It's entirely possible. Um, so yeah, there's not. I understand from a political perspective, it's not easy. I do understand that, but at the same time, politicians shouldn't be making decisions just based on pure anecdote and emotion. It shouldn't be based on anecdote and emotion. It's got to make sense, and people have to weigh things up and do what makes sense and what's best for the greater good. And if blanket policies are not the way forward, then you can have different rules for different people, man. You can have different rules for different people. Um, yeah, yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for the comments, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Excuse me. It's been really, really nice to talk to you all. Once again, big thanks for helping me hit 55,000 subscribers on the channel. That is huge. The video with Douglas Murray's probably hit 60,000 by the time I finish this live stream. If you have not yet listened to that podcast, please go check it out. It's already the second most popular podcast I've ever released. It could well become the most popular. Please subscribe to my channel. Like I said, if you want to get any merchandise, go to teamzuby.com. I've also got the signed copies of my book, Strong Advice, Zuby's Guide to Fitness for Everybody. If you don't want to just live in fear and you want to actually take care of your health, build some muscle, lose some body fat, stay healthy, stay motivated, please check out my book. Also available as an ebook and an audiobook. There we are. I'm going to just put the teamzuby.com in the chat right there. There we are. We are coming up to 1 hour. Thank you very much for tuning in. God bless you guys. Thank you for the super sticker, Laura. You are a legend, $4.99. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate all of you. Continue to follow me on social media and all of that good stuff. Thank you very much. God bless you, and I will talk to you soon. Peace.